Podcast.
G'day. Welcome back to the Shit Dad Podcast, where we hear fatherhood experiences through the eyes of average Aussie blokes. I'm Cam, husband of 4 years, father to a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I'm a fanboy of matching outfits with my kids.
Oh, you certainly are. And I'm Nick, father of 2 boys and a girl. I've been married 6 years, and I clean asses and reading glasses.
Nice. So last week we spoke to Ben, for anyone who hasn't heard that episode. So he was a father of 3, stepdad to another 3. And that was a really eye-opening discussion around his story and being a bit of a distance dad. And he had some great advice around looking inward to yourself to make change when it's needed. So make sure you take a listen to that one if you haven't already. And don't forget, if you're enjoying the shit daddery, press follow on your podcast app. And we need to keep this steam train full of half-eaten fruit in the fruit bowl rolling. Now, we're always open to feedback, suggestions, and shit dad stories. So send your stories or jokes through to shitdadpod@gmail.com or Instagram messages at shitdadpod.
Slide into our DMs.
Please do.
And just remember, we've teamed up with Smashing Fibers Apparel as our major sponsor. So use Ship Shit Free at checkout for free delivery on any order. And also, the best shit dad story or dad joke every week goes into the draw for a gift voucher for Smashing Fibers.
Now, before we get to this week's guest, who's sitting very quietly next to us, we thought we'd just quickly touch on the fact that it was Father's Day on the weekend. So we hope you all got very spoiled and you got some kind of sleep in. How was your Father's Day, Nick?
Definitely didn't get a sleep in. I just came off a night shift, so I got home and got crash tackled by 3 kids who proceeded to open my presents for me and say, "Daddy, look at what's in this bag." So that was a bit of fun. But yeah, it was a pretty relaxing day at home. Yeah, enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yourself?
Yeah, I went to the beach with my dad and then the kids, which was great.
Matching outfits?
Yes, of course. We even got my dad matching outfits with my son and my nephew.
Dad, his lad, and his lad.
Yep. And my daughter was funny because all week she was trying to spoil the present that they got me, and she kept saying beer socks. And I'm like, they've got me some socks and jocks with beers on them. And then I opened it and they were Beast socks from Beauty and the Beast.
My boy got me, he was so excited because they had this Father's Day stall at school, and wife gave him $10 to spend, and he came home, he was just so excited. Wife looked in the bag and she's like, "Oh my God, you know your dad too well." I opened it up on Sunday morning and it is like a fanny pack, but it's got 6 holders for cans of beer. So next time we have people around, I can just be the beer bitch.
That's so good. So I just wanted to talk about a bit of a dad stuff quote, and this was one on my Father's Day card, and it was from my wife. It was, "Fatherhood is a constant balance of love and WTF," which I think was pretty appropriate.
That's very appropriate. I got a dad stuff quote as well.
Yep.
It's not so much a quote, just like a general public service announcement that Free Slurpee Day at 7-Eleven is actually on July 11th. Kids love free Slurpees, but we love free. Little bit of dad advice there for you.
Is that where you can fill up anything?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. I'm taking a bucket. Actually, I think we should all just make a pact to take a shoe in and just do Slurpee shoeies. How good would that be?
That'd be great. All right. So this episode is called Radio Dada, and it'll make sense why soon. So we're going to talk to Hamish Rose, who's a father of 2, husband to Lisa, and a top bloke all round who I've known for the last 8 years or so. So welcome, Hamish.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
G'day. Tell us a bit about yourself, mate.
Okay, so as you spoke about earlier, husband to Lisa for 5 years. I have a 7-year-old boy, which you do the maths on that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, I guess. And a 5-year-old girl.
Straight to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for judging me, everyone. So I've got an older boy and a younger girl, and I am the head of sales in Brisbane for a radio network.
Nice. That's Radio Dada. That makes sense now. How was your Father's Day?
Radio Dada.
It was really good. I can relate to a couple of things you guys touched on in the intro. First one was matching outfits. I got my first one where we have matching togs. So I have some swim shorts. So does my son. They're, I guess you would call them pink and aqua. Mm-hmm. So they look beautiful.
Very hipster.
Yeah, very hipster.
Love that.
My daughter also has a little matching one-piece swimsuit as well to match it. So when I opened it, I thought, oh, it's not my usual colour scheme. And then as I pulled out the little togs, I thought, this is very cute. Yep. So we were down the coast. I got a touch of a sleep in, which was cool. But we just got to spend the day down the coast, a bit like you, Cam. It was really nice to have them run around. And also I got the socks that you got as well.
Have
a look at these. So they've got my kids' faces on them.
That is great.
Father's Day socks.
That's really
Love
cool.
that.
And then love heart. So it was really fun. And the thing that I sort of enjoy the most and what I wanted to do for Father's Day was just I just enjoy watching the kids interact with each other and have fun. I don't really need to go to a nice restaurant or do anything in particular. It was just really cool watching them laugh at each other. And
those little moments are the ones that sort of outweigh the screaming tantrums, aren't they?
Oh, sometimes, yeah, I guess.
You know what I love about your socks, Hamish? Your kids got you these beautiful I Love Dad socks with their face on it. My kids got me they all picked a different type. So one got Yoshi, another got, I can't remember, it was something else. And then my little girl picked the pink ones. And of course the pink ones were the ones with the COVID needles and it was like they were COVID socks.
It's not something you want to remember, is it?
Yeah. I'll just chuck my COVID socks on to go get my second jab.
Now, today's also special because we're recording from an actual radio studio. We're very excited and we look really legit. So, it's a soundproof room. There's the door. There's a double door.
I actually got dressed up for the occasion. I got a shirt on instead of my usual dirty old sports shirt. Very classy.
Yeah, so thanks for having us in an actual audio studio, Hamish. And what we're going to do is take heaps of photos and share some of that on our socials as well so you guys can see how legit we really are. So pumped. So if you guys want to crack open your first beer, we're actually drinking out of Hamish's work fridge, which is exciting. So the first one is a Brick Lane beer. What's it called? The Backyarder.
It's a Backyarder, and it describes itself as a cheeky session lager perfectly suited to lounging into the whatever happenings of backyard afternoons.
You said this is the Mick Malloy one, hey?
Yeah, so this one is super special to us at Triple M because it has Mick Malloy, very public knowledge. I'm not sharing any internal gossip or secrets. Mick is actually a partner in the brewery along with quite a few other big names based out of Melbourne.
That actually tastes like what I imagine getting on the beers with Mick Malloy would be like. Like a session ale, it's just easy to down. It'd be easy to get along with.
In my head, I
see that.
In my head, I just imagine you finding a hair in your beer. He's a hairy man.
I was going to use a different analogy if it was shit.
I'm not normally a
but
big
that's actually
fan
really nice
of craft lagers, but that's actually a really good one. A crisp lager. Lovely.
There you go.
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks, Mick.
Throw
all right.
some money our way.
Do we want to get into bad dad advice section, Nick?
Always.
What's your question for us?
Right. So recently, I've just fixed up our little retaining wall, put a little garden on top, make it look all pretty and not shit. The kids just won't stop climbing up on it. So as you know, before I did all this, that was like part of their playground. They climb up the retaining wall and hang through the trees like the monkeys they are. But now it's all fixed up and it's got like proper mulch and nice plants and it looks the goods. They just can't stop climbing up and it's shitting me to tears. Now what I need is some bad dad advice to stop them from climbing up and ruining my dad garden.
Have you thought about an electric fence? They would learn their lesson pretty quick, I'd imagine.
How many mistakes can you make with an electric fence? I like that.
Just a little zap.
Yeah. Love zap. You reckon, hey?
Yeah, I reckon so. Have you ever touched an electric fence?
No, but it sounds brutal.
It's horrible. I've done it once after school care when I was about 7. I grabbed the back fence when I lived in the country. I haven't done it since. So I don't think you'll have an issue after one go.
I was going to resort to the like dirty mulch, so like cow shit. Just so every time you'd know they'd been up there if you weren't watching them because they just smell like poo.
I don't think kids care, but it'd be
That's
you that'd
true.
be annoyed having to clean them up.
That's true.
Electric fence.
Electric fence is done. There's another one I've got as well that every time I buy my groceries, I'll stack the fruit bowl and then 2 days later, everything has a bite out of it. How do I fix that? Barbed wire around the fruit bowl?
That's extreme.
Or an electric fence? Electric mesh.
What about the stuff that Mum used to put on your nails to stop you biting your nails? You
Yes.
could paint just the top couple of bits of fruit with that so they don't do it.
That's done. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Done.
The top layer.
Bad dad advice.
Nice. I got one. My 1.5-year-old is getting worse. So changing his nappy will not sit still no matter what type of nappy it is. Squirm, climbing, crawling over, screaming. I need something to distract him while I change him. If he just sat still, it would take 30 seconds.
Kids straight jacket. Paw Patrol usually works for us, but kids straight jacket.
A Paw Patrol straight jacket.
Yeah, if we're going on the bad dad advice thing, then straight jacket. I just did a selfie. Well, tried to do a selfie for the socials, but it actually was a video. So
I noticed that.
dad failed.
One job.
Old blokes in technology.
Yes. Kids these days and their technology. All right, there we go. We're done.
Nice. All right. Well, shall we get into the discussion for the week?
Always.
So, Hamish, firstly, we wanted to chat to you around, obviously you got the 2 kids, but wanted to discuss the first year and how you kind of coped with change from your previous life and hear a bit about your story of, your first child and then into your second.
Yeah, sure. So I was going through a bit of a rocky time at work, I guess. I was going through a challenging time, probably would be best to describe it. And after a big week, I came home from work on a Friday, and my partner of about 8 or 9 years at the time said to me, "I think I might be pregnant." So, so my first child, Ollie, was a pleasant surprise. We'd spoken about kids, and it was certainly on the agenda, but it could have been a year or two too early.
Yeah.
So, so I had plans of engagement and marriage and stuff up my sleeve, and that got pushed back a little bit at that point in time. So that happened all of a sudden. But I don't know. Truth be told, I was very career focused at that moment in my life. I'm not sure if I ever would have picked the time. If that didn't happen, I don't know at what point in my life I would have gone, I'm ready for a kid now. I don't know how I would have gotten to that point without it.
You can't plan everything, can you?
Yeah, and sometimes there isn't that right perfect time, is there? Yeah. I think you just got to be open to it and let it happen. Sorry, Nick's recording us.
Again.
Selfies in the studio.
So, given that was a surprise, what was, I guess, did you have to, quickly change what you were planning from the proposal, or did you not really stress about that?
I delayed that a little bit, and what we had to start planning for is where we were living and what we were doing there, because we lived a pretty regular late 20s lifestyle at that point. That was work hard Monday to Friday, have all your mates around on the weekend, watch sport and
Wake up late.
Eat takeaway food all day while you're lazing around in bed watching, wasn't Netflix then, but whatever you were watching, daytime TV, DVDs, Blu-rays,
Melrose.
playing PlayStation. So we went from that to thinking we need to have a life for a family now. So we're still running a shower over bath, and if anyone's got those fixed glass screens on their shower over bath, they know how annoying that is with kids.
Yeah.
So the priority for us was just to get ourselves sorted.
Yeah.
In that respect. So that was the transition for us, was more about that, less about us and more about just getting set up for the family. The good news is my wife was born to be a mother. She's got the most beautiful mother, just maternally motherly instinct. So she'd been training for that for 30 years up to that point. So I was in pretty good hands there.
Yeah. And were you able to switch off and let go of work, or was that a bit harder to do initially?
It was actually a tricky time, and I hello to my general manager listening to this, because I'll share a bit of stuff about that moment in time for me. It was at the time in my life that I'd sort of prioritised my career, and I was coming into a pretty good spot with work and just discussing promotions. And at that point in time, I'd been asked to take on a restructured part of the business and manage that. And it was particularly challenging. And I remember I went away with Lisa, and we went away. She was pretty heavily pregnant, and we went away and sort of said, if we do this now, we need to make a plan for us as a family, not just me personally. And it'd be pretty high pressure what I was doing. Is this the right thing for our family moving forward? If not, we had to make some pretty big choices quickly. And given the people and a lot of the stuff within the workplace, I knew that this would be a really good place for me, but it would take a fair bit of work and application. So as a family, we then made that commitment and worked out what that would need structurally, so that I could still push forward and focus on that, whilst giving everything that I wanted to give to Lisa and to my son at that point in time.
It's good to have the support from your partner.
I think that's really
all along,
important,
yeah.
and that was the big thing. Before he was even born, we just spoke about what does that look like, and if Lisa had her way, she'd be a mum 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never work ever again. So for me to say to her, what does that balance look like? It might mean that you're not working 5 days anymore. She was just rubbing her hands together at that point.
Yeah, great. And second child, so it's always different, very different to have the second one. For you, how was that experience different or harder or easier or with the second one?
Well, leading into the second one, after the birth of Ollie, I really struggled with that. I actually found, whilst in my head I'd had everything planned out like I like to, my wife did a nursing certification, and then that's what she did leading up to having a child, and then all of a sudden she diagnosed me from a nursing course, but she said to me post this time that she thought I had postnatal depression. So as we had the child, that was such a big change for me, and that first 9 months was a real challenge for me. I thought I'd be able to balance it better than I could, and that was really hard for me, but to the point where I'd come home from work sometimes after a really long, challenging day, and it'd be that whole witching hour thing where he's screaming and carrying on, and I'd just go to bed. Sometimes I would walk in at 6 o'clock and he'd be screaming at me in the face, and I'd go into, I'm embarrassed to talk about it now, I'd go straight into bed and just go, that'll do me. So it was a really challenging part for me, hard to create a connection, I found, and it wasn't it wasn't easy in that first little time. He didn't sleep, so none of us slept. He slept through his first night ever on the day of our wedding at 20 months old.
Really?
Hadn't slept through up until that point. So particularly tricky. So I thought I was in for the same thing with my daughter. So when she was born, and since then, by the way, we've created such a strong bond. And I think this next bit helped. So my daughter was born when he was about 2. And I found that part required a lot more parenting than what I'd previously done, because previously all the two of us had to do is sort of work out one kid between us, and Lisa was happy to do 90% of it, and I was doing 10 at the first part. I remember I don't know if you guys remember the first time you had to look after your child by yourself.
Yeah.
So scary.
And Lisa had a bottle ready. I think it was the first time she'd had her hair cut, and I had my two nicest mates around. No offense, Ken. And one had a child, and the other one was just a tremendous human, and we just stood there just watching him going, what do we do? So anyway, so that was my contribution up at about 12 weeks in. So having the second child, first I was thinking, oh dear, am I going to have the same struggles that I had with my son? Yeah. And how will I manage that? But 2, we sort of worked out that Lisa couldn't shoulder as much of the parenting. And fortunately for me, I was in a really good spot with work, and the pressure was off from that point of view. And so Ollie just rolled with me everywhere. So I had my son, and we, found a new best mate, and he came with me, and I looked after everything for him, and Lisa would take care of my daughter. So having the second one was probably triple the amount of input required from me, but 10 times the amount of what I got back out of it. Yeah. Excellent.
Certainly a lot easier when you have the second, and you're responsible for the older one, because you know each other well. They can communicate. It's something you can feel a bit more confident doing, isn't it? Yeah.
It was easier. It came natural. And you get out of waking up in the middle of the night, because you have to get up with Ollie at 5, so surely you can't be getting out of the baby.
I don't know if you listened to one of our earlier episodes where I said the first time I actually took my boy out was to a soccer game, and he fell out of the pram. From then on, it was sort of like, oh, do I take him? So you've done well there.
Yeah. And so you think, do you think you found that balance now between kind of your work and home and the kids and friendship and all that kind of thing?
I don't think you've ever get it perfect, Cam. I think that I've put a lot of work into it, and I do a lot of talking constantly with my wife around what that looks like. And I think, I think identity is a difficult thing as a father these days as well. I think it's hard to work out. My dad growing up, his identity was he was the sole financial support for our family, and that was
breadwinner.
He was the breadwinner. And if he didn't go to work and do that, then we wouldn't have what we need. And he grew up poor, and that was something for him. He didn't want us to live, so that was that moment in time. But for me, I wanted to make sure that I had a different involvement in the household. So I think the balance has been in and out of perfect, and I don't think I've ever got it perfect, but it's been something that I've been really big on, and something that I encourage of my wife as well, which we talk about. You hear some of my mates will say, should we go and do insert whatever the activity is to care for yourself, might be go away overnight somewhere or go to the beach or go surfing or whatever it is. And sometimes the natural instinct is for their partners to go, oh, well, we should do whatever that looks like. And I'll say to Lisa, do that anyway. You don't have to square the ledger. If I'm going to do something for me, if you want to go to, one of them at one point said, let's go to Melbourne for the weekend, because we were going away for a weekend. We do it every weekend in October, same time. And that's not every weekend of October, by the way.
Monday.
Yeah, it's not Monday. And that's really nice for us to spend that time together. But when she said that, I said to Lisa, if you want to go on a shopping trip to Melbourne, you should do that. Whatever you want to do like that should be a priority for her. And her identity has been a mum, and that's what she's always wanted. But I think it's still important to have a balance of what else is important to you, which is different for her than it is for me as well.
We talk about mental health quite a bit on here, and I've found it really interesting that you said that your wife said that you had postnatal depression. I've never heard that from a man's perspective. I think as men we sort of just close up shop and don't really speak how we're feeling, and I think that's why that we don't really hear much of men dealing with that. But yeah, can you tell us a bit more about that? Like, what are apart from coming home after a heavy day and just going to bed because you don't want to deal with that, or you physically couldn't? Like, I've done the same thing after a night shift. I'll come home and the kids will be melting down, and I'll just be like, I can't deal with this right now. And thankfully, the wife sort of understands that and gives you a bit of space. But can you? Did anything else happen that sort of brought that on?
Look, I'm looking back at all of this, I guess. So for me, it's hard to really put my finger on what that was. And unfortunately, we're going back, that was 7 years ago now. Had I been going through now what I was then, I probably would have spoken to someone about it. But at that moment in time, one, I didn't really recognise it. And two, I didn't know enough about that type of thing then that I do now. So I think in the last 6 or 7 years, I've learned a lot more about it, and just talking to other people about it, it's nearly like no one warned you about it. Had someone said to me, hey mate, the no sleeping thing, sleep deprivation, you'll never know what it feels like until you've experienced it, and here's the type of things that you may feel, so that I felt normal about it. In my head, I just thought, what's going on here?
I'm not set out for this.
Yeah, yeah. I asking myself all sorts of questions. So it was challenging, and I didn't talk to my wife about it at the time either. It was probably not until my son was 18 months old before she even said anything to me about it. So she saw it, obviously.
So what are some of the things you were thinking though? Like, what was in your head to think to yourself, I'm not dealing with this right?
I think I felt I didn't realise I wasn't dealing with it right, to be honest. I just felt overwhelmed. Yeah. So to be honest, I couldn't tell you that at this point in time I realised, because it wasn't until I was well through it that I thought I wasn't feeling I can't do this. I wasn't thinking to myself, this is too hard. I was just feeling overwhelmed, angry and sad at the same time. Yep. I just have to run away often and just go, this is too much.
So if you could go back now with the knowledge you've got from this experience, how would you deal with it? Or how do you deal with it now when it all sort of gets too much at home?
I have better balance now than I did previously. So for me, I started when I turned 30, so Ollie would have been, I'd have to do the math, 6 months old or something like that. I started getting fit. So for me, it started off as two things. One, I felt I wanted to get fit, and I think I'd signed up for a Tough Mudder and couldn't run a kilometre, so I was in pretty bad shape there. But two, it felt like a guilt-free way of spending a bit of time on my own as well. So I think there was a bit of, without knowing exercise would make me feel better, exercise gave me an hour where I wasn't thinking, I should be home helping Lise or whatever that was. So that's how it started out for me, and that became my exercise every day now. And I feel like I've done the wrong thing if I haven't, because that's a good, it makes me feel good afterwards, obviously, but also it gives me 45 guilt-free minutes where I'm not at the pub having a pint thinking, I really should get home, and I'm doing the wrong thing because I'm sort of looking after myself along the way. So that was one way I started managing it. But had I had my time over, I wish I'd known that was part of the process, and the sleep deprivation and all of that would come to an end, and I probably should have spoken about that in that moment more. And I don't know whether that's seeing someone. The business I work for is really good at providing support with those type of things, so I could have done that very easily. Or if it's just realising that it's quite normal and manageable if you have the support around you to manage it.
Nice. No, that's good. I noticed Triple M do a lot of, we'll get to the radio sort of stuff now, they do a lot of, they're a bit different to the other radio stations in regards to the music they play and the mental health sort of side they take, stance they take. So can you explain to any listeners what they do with the no talk day or something?
Yeah, sure. It's the evolution of the man, and I guess you'd see culture and music evolve, and so should masculinity. And if you think about that, Triple M's 40 years old now. You know what it was to be a modern man 40 years ago is not what it is now, and it's really important for us as a brand that we connect with our audience in the right way. And so we've done a stack of research and talking to our to our audience to find out what that looks like. And when we first did it a few years ago, when I first read about it, and if people were answer survey questions, you would think, what would a current bloke want? You know, more money, promotions. If you think about the what you think would be what a guy would want, a lot of the answers that came back was be a better husband, be a good father, to be there for my mates when they needed me, were in the top 5. And so as we've looked at what that means, we've done a lot of work into what's important and what's important to our men, what's really important, not the facade of what's important. But in behind that, there's a lot of issues, social issues, that blokes find important now that they didn't previously. Mental health is probably the largest. That's number one that comes up. But if you think diversity, if you think about identity, the identity crisis I spoke about before, what is a man's role in the modern world, and and so that's really important for us at Triple M. So you'll hear us often talk about it on air, and the no talk day you mentioned before is something that we do, and we actually just give anyone that's talking the day off. We don't run messages, we don't run announcers, and the whole idea is it's okay, let's talk to our mates, and we support Are You OK Day and other things along the way as well. But this is a day where we don't talk, and the whole idea is we're not talking so you can. So we're hoping that our audience, not just blokes, but we're talking to blokes because they're less likely to do this on their own. And we spend a whole day saying, you're not going to hear us talk so you can. So the whole idea is making sure you're having conversations, and you will see that 71% of our audience say that they're on their way to becoming better blokes. So our audience and us and people listening, I think most people would relate to that and go, I want to be better now. And it's really important for us as a brand that we do what we can to support that in many, many ways.
That's amazing. That's so important too. It's just from a radio perspective, it's so annoying when all you wanted, like you're in that sort of G'd up moment where your brain's just so fuzzy from being stressed out, and the kids have just been screaming at you or whatever. However you're amplified, you get in the car to go somewhere. You don't want to be listening to ads. You don't want to be listening to people talking and that.
Mate, I'm not sure about the ads thing.
But you
98% of our audience disagrees with you.
Maybe not ads, but I know I'm going to start listening to Triple M now. That's for sure, because you just jump in the car and you're like, if I just need something to distract me, and talking is not it. So it's good to hear that sort of thing. But yeah, you mentioned before that you do a lot of exercise, an hour daily or 45 minutes daily. That's unbelievable.
Is that by looking at me you say that?
I mean, what a rig.
There's no way you could.
Is it working?
He's a chiseled man. So you do an hour of exercise a day. What's your favourite? What's your go-to workout?
F45. I do F45 3 days a week, and I will do, I call it normal gym a couple of days a week, and then I play touch football as well.
Nice. Very active man.
F45 is my favourite. I eat very poorly, so I have to. That just sort of squares the ledger. I don't change body shape at all.
Yeah.
My metabolism's slowed, as it probably has. Well, neither of you look like it has, but the metabolism's slowed. But yeah, I do an hour. No, I don't do an hour a day. I do 40 minutes a day.
40 minutes. Yeah, that's good. That's a pretty impressive balance, though. You know, a lot of people wouldn't, and a lot of people don't really realise that 40 minutes a day isn't that much. That's sort of going for a walk, you know. If you go to the shops, you're walking for 40 minutes. It's not exercise, but it's better than sitting at home, you know. It's like if you're doing something a day for that long, that's all you needed to be doing. But
I just build it into my routine, and it's a priority thing. And I say, my wife and I have this conversation often. It's just a priority thing. So I get up really early, well before the kids do. I would have left for work early anyway. I'm a morning person, so I leave early and come home a bit earlier. So I just get up and leave home at 5:20.
That's your balance, isn't it?
Just do it on the way to work. It's 45 minutes out of your day, but
it's guilt-free.
It is guilt-free, and the kids more often than not are asleep, so I don't even feel like I'm putting my wife in harm's way by doing that.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to go. I'll do that too. But what's your what do you reckon your go-to cheat meal is? You say you eat poorly, but you've got to have one dirty, shameful meal
It's
that you eat in your car because you don't want anyone to see you eating it. It's disgusting.
I had one today, the schnitty downstairs. I do $12 schnitties at the Bavarian Beer Cafe.
Oh, nice.
Nice. That's tasty. That's not dirty.
It's as big as a plate.
Oh, yes.
But it's sweet for me. I've got to have dessert every night.
Yeah, nice.
Doesn't matter. And sometimes
what's your go-to?
Ice cream. But I have never had dairy. Not never had it, of course, but I've never had soy in my bottles as a kid, so I have to eat dairy-free ice cream. Which, if anyone ever tried that and then had a Macca's soft serve, they're the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Bouncing off the wall, bro.
Yeah, it's totally different. But that is definitely my go-to. But the other one is for me, and sometimes I sneak these. I do the groceries, and that's one of my chores for this similar reason to exercise. It's a chore, but it gives me an hour to listen to podcasts or do some thinking without feeling the guilt, because it's a household chore, I guess. Yeah. And I love the white chocolate macadamia cookies at Coles. Often I'll eat a whole packet of 6.
Nice.
What am I?
Now that is achievement.
Don't even bring them home.
Do you like the ones at Subway? They're superb. Are they better than them?
They're lovely, but they're not as convenient. So I'll just buy a pack of 6 from Coles.
Yeah.
And often, if there's one left, I'll put it in the bin on my home, so my wife doesn't know.
Now that is shame eating right there. I love that. I do want to know though, from such an active person, how do you instill these bloody Mick Malloy beers again?
Yeah, mid-strength.
Oh no. How do you instill sort of a healthy lifestyle on your kids? Because you've got to be setting that example. You must be setting that example somehow from the start.
I'd like to say I am, but the truth is my son in particular is really fussy. Do you guys have fussy eaters? You got one of each.
Coming into that, yeah.
I've got two fussy and one will just eat anything.
I've got one of each, and the fussy one, he's really active, and I think it's easy just to say he burns it off, it's okay, but I do think about my adult lifestyle choices and just think, just because he can burn off the calories, there's more to a growing body than just that. So I think about it a lot, and I try to limit the sweets where I can, knowing that he's the same as me. But in all honesty, he eats chicken nuggets, toasted sandwiches, and breakfast cereal is his staple diet. So I just try and keep away the sweets as much as I can, but he just won't eat without it. So that is a real challenge for me. My daughter's fine; she'll eat anything. Bowls of fruit by the buckets, completely fine. But my son, I worry about some of that stuff at times.
So what? He's not eating enough because he's burning so much, or he's just not eating enough in general?
He's eating enough, but it's enough of chicken nuggets and toasted sandwiches.
Have you tried making homemade ones?
Yeah, he won't do it.
Doesn't help?
No, absolutely not. He's so fussy. Even brands, and I won't name a brand because I know you've got a couple of sponsorships pending. Some global chicken brands. But he'll only eat one of them. So he'll only eat one of the frozen chicken nuggets. So that's a real challenge for me. It's something I wish that I was better at, but I don't think it's important enough. He eats a lot of Wheat Bix and yogurt and fruit, so it's not important enough at this moment in time that I lose sleep on it, but it's something I think we could do a little better at.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice. Daddy dinners, mate. Get on the daddy dinners. If you Instagram it, they eat it. It's all for the gram.
Yeah.
Now, I got one more question regarding your dad bod. Not that you have one or anything, but if you had a choice of looking like Chris Hemi Hemsworth or Rusty Russell Crowe, knowing full well their wellness routine and they're both drowning in babes, who would you be?
I'll answer for my wife and say Chris Hemsworth.
Now answer for yourself. Mick Malloy. I'd definitely be Hemi, so I could live in Byron and wear gypsy pants daily, judgment free.
That's right. Keep working on the pythons.
That's it. Who would you be, Cam, mate?
Oh, yeah, Thor for sure.
It's got to be Thor.
Yeah.
Nice. Lovely.
All right, we wanted to chat to you around something we haven't spoken to other dads about yet. It's quite an interesting one, and something that you and Lisa take quite seriously, which is around travel, family holidays. So you've told me in the past that you've done the odd family trip to Europe. You've in the past as well tried to have an annual trip to either Vanuatu or Fiji. Tell us a bit about that. Why you guys put a lot of importance on travel, and then we're keen to hear some kind of tips on how you actually kind of do that, especially plane travel with kids.
Yeah, of course. It's something I'm pretty passionate about. For me, it's I said at the start, one of the things that I get the most enjoyment out of is just being with my kids and watching them enjoy themselves. And they have so much fun when they're away at somewhere with a pool, even though we've got a pool, but other people's pools are way cooler. So it's really, it makes me feel good. Also, it gives me time to wind down without, I'm always busy doing something. So if the kids are in the pool, I'm cutting up dinner, or I'm always running around doing something. So I work towards a week every school holidays, and I make sure that I do very little over those school holidays, so I can just spend 7 days concentrating on what they're doing. The trip to Europe's an interesting one. So one of the challenges with having a pleasant surprise was I'd never been to Europe. So
you're a good politician.
When Ollie was born, my wife was all about everything sweet, and I just said, I haven't really travelled that much. And I know, Cam, that was an itch you scratched a few years prior to having kids, so you did that well. But I hadn't. So the opportunity came up, and this was really selfish upon reflection. The opportunity came up. I was going overseas for 4 days on a work trip, and I thought, it's Hong Kong, and I'll be there for 4 days. I should just duck over to Europe while I'm there. And I had a bunch of mates living over there. I spoke to a couple of them, and they said, come on over, stay with me at London. We'll go over to Spain for a couple of days. And my son was...
Honkers to Madrid. How could you say no?
So I convinced myself that that's a good idea just to get that out of my system. So I did that week on my own, but I have to tell you, I felt really guilty while I was doing it. And I thought it would just tick it off the list, and it sort of did. I'm not a big fan of London, to be honest. Spain is excellent. I think I would go back to Spain.
Yeah.
So I did that on my own, and I missed the kids, and I don't regret it. I don't really have. I think it's a bit of a waste. Having regrets is a bit of a wasted thing, but I certainly, while I was there, I felt pretty average. I felt pretty average doing that. So that's my guilty European story on my own. But the week away is really important for the reason I mentioned at the start. I think it's a really good time to sort of check out and from work and what else you're doing, get out of your environment and just relax for a week. It gives you something to look forward to as well. The kids really look forward to it. I'm a real tight ass, so I do it on the cheap. Mum's got this sort of timeshare thing.
Keeping you on speed
where we can get really good accommodation. I'm a very poor surfer. I learnt to surf a few years ago, very averagely, so I get to sort of jump on the board, and whilst I'm bad, my kids think I'm excellent. So that's a heap of fun. And it's something we've tried to do since the kids were little, but when they were really little, we didn't do it as much. And Cam, you mentioned Fiji. We've been to Vanuatu as a family twice, and to Fiji maybe 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. And it's really enjoyable now because they can swim, and it's a lot of fun. When they were little, it was just parenting somewhere else. So we tried to do it a bit, but it was no more peaceful. It was just a less comfy porta cot than a bed. So instead of waking up 3 times a night, it was 4, and you were tired, and you know, as soon as the kids went to sleep, you went to sleep. So we didn't really find it as rewarding then. So if anyone holidaying now with really young kids, it gets better as they're 2+, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. Thank God.
And the tip for me on that would just be, if you can, get an apartment rather than a studio room. So a twin room with 2 beds, it's just chaos. Kids playing, fighting, whatever the kids are doing, waking up, and one wakes, everyone wakes. So what we do now is we leverage the timeshare availability that we have, and we get 2-bedroom apartments. Kids have their own room, and it just makes it a really enjoyable holiday. Once the kids go to bed, you can have a couple of drinks and sit out in the, whatever you want to do, sit out in the balcony, or spend some adult time without having to whisper and without having to whisper and feel like you're waking the kids up.
Yeah.
So we try and get a ground floor if we can, so the kids can run around, and we just about always get a 2-bedroom apartment so that we can sort of separate off the areas a bit.
There you go. Good advice. Any tips for anyone who eventually can travel on planes again with kids?
It's the hardest part.
Yep.
So the hardest part, my kids I could sleep here. Honestly, if you gave me 15 minutes, I could sleep here. So my kids are like me. They'll just sleep anywhere. So we can go on a plane to Fiji and they'll sleep the whole way. And so that's really quite good. We haven't been any further as a family than Fiji, I don't think. Okay. So we haven't been really far. Been very manageable with lollies. Don't judge me, Nick. I see you looking at me again.
No way. That's great. I'm writing all these notes down.
So that's really manageable. The thing they hate the most is the ears afterwards. They both really get bothered by my ears hurt. So they don't like. They asked if we could drive to, where did we say we were going? Maybe Hawaii before COVID. My wife and I have been to Hawaii, loved it, and thought it'd be cool to go with the kids. And my son wanted to drive there because he didn't want to go on the plane. So we're doing a lot more local, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast. We live in Brisbane, so Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, and we do a week every holidays there. The plane is just really challenging. It's again, judgy. I'm not looking at you. Chewing gum, if you let the kids have chewing gum as they're going down, or a lollipop or something, it helps.
Yeah.
But even they just hate flying because of the ears.
I'm not judging, but I let my oldest kid have chewing gum for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Don't swallow it! Don't swallow it! Don't swallow it!"
Swallowed it
straight up, like, within 30 seconds. I was like, "Where is it?" I swallowed it.
You had one job.
One job.
Was it Grape Hubba Bubba?
No, it was just like shitty Wrigley's spearmint.
Mint.
Maybe he just wanted to get rid of it. Like, this is like brushing my teeth. This is brutal.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, mate. Yeah, good advice. I can imagine there should be no judgment with travelling on a plane with kids. We've done the Sydney trip here and there, and it's just whatever you can do to make them sit still and be quiet. Here's your iPad, games, whatever
Snacks.
you want.
Yeah, definitely.
I try not to judge others too for the same reason.
Do you know what is really important, that I've made really important since having our second, the live wire cam?
Yeah.
Don't judge other parents when their kids are screaming anywhere in the world, because you're like, I'm dealing with that at home. And he does it out in public too. So like, I'd never ever anymore judge parents for screaming kids. I'm like, oh, how dare you? How dare your child make that noise in public? Now it's just like, oh man, I'm feeling you. I always give them the like sympathetic nod. You're like, sorry mate, gotcha.
Yeah.
I do judge them when they yell back at their kids. I think, oh, and then I find myself doing it. How embarrassing. Look what you're making me do.
All right, and the final section we wanted to chat through was another one. Once again, something we haven't spoken about yet, but I'm very interested to hear about your experience with this. So you mentioned your son was a bit of a surprise. You've got the 2, but since then you and your partner have decided that you're done. You're going to call it at 2, and you've had the old snip. You've had the vasectomy. So how did you kind of arrive at that decision with your wife?
Well, what we hadn't completely agreed on was number of kids, and I know, Cam, you initially wanted 10.
I said 5.
5. Okay, 5.
I've since reconsidered.
So we hadn't really agreed on that. We'd agreed that we wanted kids, but we hadn't spoken about number. So when we had 1, if Lisa had said to me, I don't want any more, I would have said, all right, let's not. And my daughter is just beautiful. So now it's so hard to even say that looking back on it. But we said, let's have 2. That's a good number. And I could tell my wife wanted 3. and I could tell. And I just said, I just can't do that. My daughter didn't sleep that well either, so that was a really challenging time. And we were just in the point where our family was just so happy. You know, we were having such a good time. My daughter was just starting to sleep, and we just had the conversation. And Lisa said, "Can we wait a little bit longer? You know, just in case I might want a third," which is definitely not. No offense to you two, but we did that. And then I just said, it's actually really important to me that that we get make that decision for me to get to sex. So she said, "Yeah, that makes sense." And
muted the poor man.
I was really nervous about it. I don't like needles much,
Yeah.
so you can imagine I don't like needles in my arm, let alone down there. So I did some research, and I read this article online that said how good this particular doctor was at vasectomies.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this sounds good. The truth is, he also gave intravenous Valium. So for someone as nervous as me,
The good stuff.
yeah, it was the good gear. So I went and saw him, and he'd done a heap of them, and it was his specialty. So I went and got it done. It was pretty straightforward on the day, but it wasn't scalpelless. So my mates that had the scalpelless done, one of them went motorbike riding the next day. So,
Jesus.
Yeah. So I thought this will be okay. I'll get the Valium, and I didn't realise that it was full Edward Scissorhands type of scalpel. So the actual procedure was fine. Steel bench. And, he let me listen to podcasts. So I listened to a podcast. Next minute, there you are, away you went.
Pin your wrists and hands, your wrists and ankles down to the steel bench.
No, the Valium actually took care of a lot of that. So
nice.
I was not worried about it at the time. But the healing process was quite challenging, actually. I did the whole, my manager at the time sent me, actually, he got one of the guys at work to organise me one of those hemorrhoid cushions and a bag of frozen peas and a bag of frozen corn, and got them delivered to my house that I had everything I needed. But the whole process at the time for me took a little longer to heal. It's not that bad, but to be honest, it's whilst I play it up to my wife, it's really not a post-op thing to be concerned about. I had the worst experience of a lot of them, and it was no worse than getting a tooth pulled or something pretty basic that you wouldn't be that stressed about. So it's a process that's pretty straightforward. Whilst I still haven't got my final test. So that was, my daughter's 5 tomorrow. So that was a few years ago now, and I've never gone back just to make sure that it's been fully effective. But
Run on the risk.
You're supposed to do that?
Yeah, that process is a bit funny. But anyway, I got a skin check from the same guy, specialises in vasectomies and skin checks, which is weird. And he gave me another referral, so I best go and do that sometime soon. But the process, for anyone out there listening thinking, oh, it's scary, the thought of it's scary. It's like going to the dentist. You walk out, or getting your flu needle. You go in there thinking, oh, this is going to hurt, and you walk away going, oh, that's not too bad, until next time and you're worried about it. It's really not that bad.
Okay.
You walked out of the vasectomy clinic with a numb jaw? Or just, downstairs. Welcome back. We're with Hamish. Just remember that Shit Dad Pod is powered by Smashing Fibers Apparel. So check them out online and on their Instagram. And if you buy anything, when you buy anything, type in ship shit free at checkout for free shipping. And remember to send us in your emails or Instagram messages. Slide into our DMs and send us some fun stories or dad jokes or whatever you got to go into the draw for a gift voucher for Smashing Fibers. So now we are drinking something a little bit stronger. What do we got, Ham?
We have the Last Man Standing Australian Lager. So it's another craft lager, not my normal go-to, but the Brick Lane Backyarder. I'd drink that again. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd take it again, yeah.
So this one is this is a bit of a celebrity beer. And this one's Stephen Bradbury's beer.
Mick's not enough of a celebrity for you?
G'day, Mick. Sorry.
A real celebrity.
So this is Stephen Bradbury's beer, which is why it's called Last Man Standing. So this will be the second time I've tried it, but the first time was after a few more, and I'm pretty keen to give it another run.
Not reliable. Right. Okay, sweet.
Get stuck in.
Yeah. It's 1.3 standards, so I should be right. I'll be right.
Just little sips.
Different taste, isn't it?
Yep. Stronger. That tastes more like a night out with Mick Malloy. Bit heavier. We're starting to get real with the conversation.
So it identifies as courage, belief, determination, and a little luck. That's what it takes to overcome the odds.
Yeah, nice. I like the after friend.
Strong friend.
Strong friend. It's all about the friend. Now, with every guest so far, we've done our little How Dad Are You quiz. Yeah, it is a bit bigger, isn't it? Got a bit more volume in the can. More beer. So we do a How Dad Are You quiz. We got 1 point for every yes out of 10, with the potential for an extra 2 points.
I'm scoring.
Cam's on the scorecard.
We do this on Triple M, and it's $100 per correct answer.
Well, you can pay us $100.
Mick can.
Yeah. We're giving Mick enough of a shout out. I'm going to tag him in everything online, and he can send the gift vouchers for every correct answer. Right. So, How Dad Are You quiz? Question 1: do you hate lights being left on?
Yes.
Good. Do you grunt when you sit down / stand up?
Both.
Yeah, nice. I tested that out today, and it's real. It's a real thing. Can't believe it. I'm only 33.
And creak now as well. My knees.
Oh,
my
do you?
ankles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cracks. You crack as
Yeah.
well, Cam?
Do you know when you try and walk quietly up the hallway at night time? It's like the kids may not be asleep, but I really want to go downstairs and have a cuppa or a beer or something. You're like, krr, 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 and then every joint cracks. Like, fuck, man. How old am I? This is hectic. Righto. Yeah, exactly that word. But do you use that word to wrap up a conversation or a variant of?
What word?
Righto.
Yes.
Yep, cool. Don't we all? Do you mute the TV during an ad break?
No. I'm in advertising sales. We have a television and a radio business. I turn it up.
I love ads.
You miss all
Give
the
me
good
the
messaging.
ads. I need the content.
I do not. I don't channel surf. I don't. If an ad breaks on, I wait until the program comes back.
I like that.
That's the truth. I'm not saying that because of the business I'm in.
Do you use that time to talk to your wife though? Or like if she's trying to talk to you during the show you want to watch, you're like, no, shh.
She does. She
Wait for
normally
the ad
only
break.
talks to me when the show's on, not when the ad breaks are on.
That's what I mean. Like, can you just wait for the ad break? And like, I get in trouble for it too. It's just like, and she goes, shh, man.
So no.
What if I forget? Righto. Do you say good day for it or a variant of when it's sunny and ever?
Often.
Yeah, cool. So you like walk outside and you're like, day for it.
Yeah, I say it, but I
About
also
nothing in
mean
particular.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I also mean, but
You
sometimes
genuinely mean it.
Sometimes I'll say it if I see someone doing something too. You know, someone's
day
mowing
for
their
it.
lawn,
Day for
the
it.
neighbour's
Yeah.
mowing the lawn. I'll throw it out there as well.
Yeah, and then they send back the polite little chuckle. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's or a bit of a look.
Nice. Do you switch off the GPS until you get to the suburb you're going to because you know the main roads?
I look at the map once.
Yep.
And I don't look at it again until I get really close. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll say, at least just what street is it again? That's all.
I love that.
We're up to 5.
We're up to 5. Out of how many?
6.
6? Oh, he's doing real well.
Am I? You see?
That's pretty
Do you
damn
win
well.
if you get more or less?
More.
Okay,
The
good.
more dad you are, the better.
Good. $500. Good stuff.
Yeah, good start. Do you back into every parking space?
No, do not. And you know why? I know this is meant to be a quick quiz, but
No.
you know what agitates me about that is you can nose in, bang straight away, you nose straight out really easy. But people that back in and take 3 or 4 goes, hold all the traffic up, they could have just nosed in, bang, they're in, and reversing out is a one-shot go. So that's why I don't reverse
It's
in.
usually
because-
people in bigger cars who maybe aren't the most confident at driving bigger cars.
That's
Yes.
true. And they can
Giant
use the mirrors
utes.
more and their reverse sensors and cameras. I understand.
definitely.
So that's a no.
Okay. Do you ever? So you obviously being a dad have your own coffee mug, your favorite coffee mug.
I do.
Yep. Do you only ever rinse it instead of washing it?
No, no, I'm the opposite of that. I wash before I put anything in the dishwasher. So you can come round to my house and the dishwasher looks like it's been on. When
A
it hasn't.
rinser.
I'm a rinser. I would not want that coffee stain around the mug. So that's a
That's
no.
where all the flavour is. That's where the flavour's left. You can't get rid of the flavour. Dad tax. So whenever you're distributing your chicken nuggets or your takeaway food to the kids, do you always have a bite?
Nearly every time.
Yeah, good.
Which I think is one of the issues with the dad bod thing, by the way.
Yeah.
I think,
It gets you. Yep.
and I do say dad tax when I do it, but I also eat the leftovers.
Oh yeah. You haven't done the dad tax properly if you haven't eaten the leftovers. Now I'll give you an extra point here. If you at the same time tell your kids you're only doing this to make sure it's not poison. It's okay if you don't.
I don't think
No?
I've used that one before.
There's one for you.
I might say it's safe. No, I haven't used the word
One less
poison.
point in the quiz, but one little dad advice for you. There's a little comment to
Yeah,
throw
little
your
tip.
kids.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're helping them.
Yeah. I'm saving your life potentially. Now, do you turn the radio down when you're looking for a street number?
I should have read. I wish I had known these questions. I'd have to think about that. I don't know. I'll say no because I've never thought about it.
Now, all right, I'll give you
I turn my wife down, but like if I'm looking, I'll say shh.
Yeah, that's close enough. I'll give that. Yeah, I'll pay that. Yeah. That's almost worse because you've just shushed your wife and you've put her in an extra bad mood after that. And one last one, which is always just a gimme. Do you admire your lawn after you've mowed it?
Isn't it the best thing to do?
It is the
So
best
good.
thing.
Yeah.
But I'll also give you an extra point if you do so with a beer every time.
Not every time.
But most times? No, that's okay.
No, sometimes.
Okay.
Not most times.
That's all right. No extra points.
But I like also talking to my wife about it too. I'll say, let's.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
you make them
What do
check?
you reckon? Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be worth a
Yeah.
point.
You've got to make sure they've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I want the compliment, but I'll say, the lawn looks green. You know, I just pretend
Yeah.
it's about the lawn. She goes, oh, wow, it looks totally different now. Love that.
That's an extra point. I like that. Yeah, that's so good.
All right, that's
I'm actually going
9.
to use that.
That ended up being 9 with all the extra points.
9! Oh, yes. Not quite Benny standard, but he's
No.
still amazing dad.
I think
quiz.
that's top 2.
That's definitely
done.
top 2. Yeah, well
That
done,
means
Hamish.
second, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, thanks, mate. You can
No
just
one,
say
trains,
second.
no one trains for second place, but we still enjoyed that.
Not drinking the last man standing beer. Drinking the beer of a winner.
That's right.
Now, we wanted to talk about tight ass tidbit because you've mentioned that you're a bit of a tight ass, and you mentioned something to me I'd like you to tell our listeners about. It's to do with light bulbs.
Oh, I stole this off a mate of mine quite a few years ago. A thing that drives me nuts, and I think you guys have actually had it in a previous quiz, is when you get home and we've got downlights and 26 downlights. I'm not exaggerating. 26 downlights will be on. My study that I work from, the lights are on in there. The toy room, the dining room, the kitchen, the front room, and sometimes the hallway lights are on as well. It's 26 lights. I'm at the point where I gave them a final warning that I'm going to start removing the bulbs out. My mate Tom said that as a thing once, and they can't reach it. So we only have a step high enough for me to just reach the bulbs.
Love it.
So they're on their final warning for that. Drives me crazy. And we've got solar. I don't even pay for electricity. But it just still drives me
principle.
crazy. Yeah.
It's the principle. Yeah, you're wasting it.
Well, yeah, keen to hear if you follow through with that and how it goes down.
I think my bark's bigger than my bike.
Yeah, nice. Does anyone else have a tight ass tidbit?
I got a good one. So some cars, and ours has this feature where, I say feature, it's a shitty old car, but it's got the sunglasses holder up just above the rear view mirror. So you can press it, opens up. And instead of putting sunnies in there, as you should, we figured out, you can put your phone in there. So if you're going on a bit of a drive, you need the kids just to settle or be quiet, chuck Bluey on your phone, put it up there, and they can both see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah, and that way I don't have to then buy one of those like back of car seat holders for your phone.
Or an in-car DVD player, even more expensive. You just would not consider that.
Exactly.
That's top 2 tight ass tidbit. I noticed recently that I just do this without even knowing I've done it. Like I did it by cleaning out the top of the cupboard the other day, and I realised, holy crap, we've kept every birthday candle since we've had the kids. We keep birthday candles, even though they're like $2 a packet. I'm just like, nah, keeping it, especially the numbers, because we've got more than one kid. So I'm pretty sure we've got the number 1, 2, 3 from the first kid that we're just going to recycle.
That makes sense.
Teenage
Yeah.
years bring them back.
Yeah.
Tidbit.
Nice one.
Yeah, you got for the teens as well. Yeah, perfect. Set for life. Who needs scratchies? Right. We're going to move into a little segment we like to call Dad Joke of the Day. Wait. That was ordinary. Sorry. My mate went to buy 100 bees from the beekeeper last week, but when he got home, he found well over 100 in the hive. So he's like really confused, and he's rung the beekeeper, and he goes, "Just check your wallet, mate. Check the receipt." Turns over the receipt, and he said he's thrown in a few freebies.
Oh,
Ah, nice.
well done. This one's from my auntie. she said, because we talk about dad bod a fair bit.
That was actually some part of the joke.
No, no. This was sent in by Mark.
Nice.
She says, it's not called a dad bod. It's a father figure.
That's nice.
It's quality.
That's a keeper.
Now, Hamish, you said that you've got your pop was a bit of a dad joke aficionado.
So my pop, very, very good man. He used to love spending time with us, and there was two things that he would do. One, play the guitar. I think he only knew 4 chords, but he would sing really loudly and just strum the basic chord pattern.
So he's Oasis.
Wonderful.
And the second thing he'd do is we'd sit around the campfire. He lived on property, and we'd sit around the campfire, and he would say, give me a topic or give me something, and then he'd tell us a joke, always dad jokes, around
Excellent.
what that topic was. I have a really poor memory, so my repertoire is about 6 different things. So I'd never really tried it in real life. Do you want to give it a try? Do you want to give me a topic and I'll see if I fail or not? And if I fail, you can just edit it out and then we can just go straight to whatever's next.
All right.
Just give me something quite vague.
COVID.
Oh. Okay. I can actually tell you when I got my COVID shot. So I was in getting my COVID shot and I was waiting too long in the line for Pfizer. So I just went to my GP and I was sitting at the GP clinic, and I heard the guy say to the lady next to him, he said, "Oh, I've been waiting here for so long. I think my bottom's fallen asleep." And the lady said, "I thought so. I think I heard it snoring."
Oh, very well done.
Nice.
Very well done.
I was so nervous then. I only have that was one of the 6. So
You
I'm glad that
adapted it
worked.
so
Pulled
well.
it off.
Yeah, so good. Enjoyed that.
What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back?
Stick.
Damn it.
You're talking to the king of dad jokes.
I'm down to 4 jokes now.
All right. Moving on to Dad Hack. So we've got one from a listener today, from Corey. He actually sent in a video on Instagram. And this is one I mentioned before. My son's were squirmy on the change table. This is probably a little bit, he's probably a bit old for this one, but I'll show you guys what it is and I'll talk to listeners through it. So when you've got young babies and you use those kind of onesies where they've got the little studs on the bottom to go over the nappy, essentially you can undo that, tie their arms up into it and then do the studs back up.
It's what you were talking about. It's the straight jacket.
Yeah, it's essentially a straight jacket.
That is amazing. Thanks, Corey.
So we can also kind of share that on the socials so people can see it. So those, as frustrating as studs and buttons can be with kids' clothes, that's a good little tip.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Keeping it.
All right.
Dad hacks?
Any other dad hacks?
I got a super dad hack. Now, when we started buying the kids toys and that, newer houses these days don't have that much storage. So we have a lot of sort of crates and stuff hidden behind couches, and it sort of got a bit annoying that when they wanted to play with these toys, that they were all shoved in these crates, that they couldn't lift the crates themselves because we just jammed so much shit in there that it's just really hard to lift. So we decided, so these are these little IKEA crates that you get for whatever it is, $30. And they were just sitting there like dragging it out, scratching the floor, and it was annoying the heck out of me. So I've decided to put some caster wheels on the bottom, 4 caster wheels on each crate, and now they can just wheel them out and I can sit on the couch watching YouTube videos, drinking beer.
Well done. Nice one.
Right, shit dad moment of the week.
Let's do it. I got one from last night. So as it happened to me, and it was as it had occurred, I was literally thinking, "Oh, great! I got a good one for the podcast." I didn't feel guilty at all. So my wife, she was away last night for work, so it was just me home alone with the kids, and I was working from home. And she said, "Make sure you get milk. Go out at some point today and get some milk."
Doesn't that annoy you?
Oh.
Like, I'm working from home. Would you ask me to go and leave the office to do that? It's so frustrating. Anyway, sorry, mate.
Exactly.
I get you.
Hi, Jess.
Yeah, Jess.
With
so-
utmost respect.
So yeah, no milk in the house, and I get to the point where it's like, I've got this under control, it's going to be easy, we've done dinner, we've done bath, they're in their PJs, they're ready to go. All right, little one, let's go to have your bottle, open the fridge. Oh, fuck, forgot. And so I was like, what are my options here? Give them almond milk was one. I'm like, that's probably not all right, I don't know.
Mate, that's all they're going to drink when they're older. You might as well start them young.
Second was, I know I can order milk from Uber Eats, but knowing Uber Eats, it takes a good half an hour to an hour to get there.
And $10 for a couple of litres.
Yeah, too cheap for that.
Goodness me.
And then the third one was I can just chuck him in the car and go down to the servo. So we got one down the road. So I was like, all right, we're doing this. And they were a bit confused about what was going on because it was literally like going to bed. Anyway, chucked him in the car with the PJs, went into the servo, bought milk, was wandering around, pajamas, no shoes, getting a few looks from people, but I didn't really care. And I got home, got them to sleep, and then they slept all night. It was a great one. Hamish, have you got any shit dad stories?
Not of the week, and not that I don't have them, they're just not that interesting and irresponsible. But I think the worst one that I've had was very judgy.
No judgment here, mate.
Not from you guys, but I'll tell you the story. So my daughter was quite little. I mean, a few months old, 4 months old maybe. So she was old enough to sit up on her own. Is that 4 months? It feels so long. Around that. So she was old enough to sit up on her own. I had my son who was 2.5-ish, my daughter who was 4 months old, and my wife was doing mums and bubs classes in the park. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're actually really cool. Really handy when you've got one baby because all the mums go down, it's in the pram, it's like let's lunge behind the pram and do other fitness while still having the baby. I think it's a really cool thing to do. Yeah. But when she had two, it was hard to juggle. So it was a Saturday, we were going to Vanuatu the next day. So I said, I'll look after the kids, no worries. So I was making my son a piece of toast, and the toaster, we have a U-shaped, or had a U-shaped kitchen, and I thought, I was holding my daughter, the last thing I wanted her to do was reach out and hit the hot toaster. So I thought, I'll just sit her on the counter behind me and I'll just turn around to the other side of the U, if anyone can visualize that, to reach forward 2 steps to grab the toast out of the toaster. So I turned around, put her down, not realizing she'd gripped onto my T-shirt, and I stepped forward really fast because I had to do it fast so that she didn't fall back on the bench or do anything, and I towed her off the bench and I could feel the pull on my T-shirt, but too late. As I turned, I saw her go bang and hit nappy down on the floor, straight down on the floor from waist bench high. And you can imagine as a
baby's
parent,
bounce.
I was like, and she had that look where she was about to cry because it was shock. And my son was on the couch, and I was like, oh gosh, what do I do? So I picked her up, and she just started crying. Then she vomited.
Oh, Jesus!
I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, Ollie, quick, get me wipes. And then I called all the people, thinking, what? She hit her head. And I called like the nurse hotline or whatever it was, and they said, no, did she hit her head? And I said, no. Weirdly, she's 4 months old, barely sit up, but she landed smack on her bum and just stayed sitting up. And they're like, no, that should be fine.
Sounds like a good save.
And I was like, oh, that's fine. And then I rang someone else, the doctor maybe, and just said, what, second opinion? And they're like, call O immediately. And if you have an issue, you need to get her to the hospital. So this was the judgy part. So I'm like, oh dear. And she's still crying, but she seemed okay. But I just thought, we're going to Vanuatu. The last thing I want is, I need to get a check. So I wanted to run her into the children's hospital. But to do that, I had to go down in front of 15 mums and wander in and say, I just dropped the baby on the kitchen floor.
Imagine all the eyes you would have got from the mums.
Daggers from every single one of them. They're all there with their babies, pushing the babies, doing the lunges. And I had to go, Lise, come here. And she was like, what? And I had to yell out, I've dropped Amelia on the floor.
You're that dad.
I can feel the daggers from here.
That was the worst I've ever done. Best intentions, but just not thought out properly. Silly. I should just put her on the floor or something. Anyway. That's me.
That's a shit dad moment, definitely. Really good.
Thanks.
Mine actually came this week, yesterday, in fact. We were playing hide and seek. I was just giving the missus a bit of time away. It was only like 20 minutes or something, but playing hide and seek with the kids upstairs, and we were sort of, you've seen our place, it's not that big. It's like upstairs is even smaller, and you run out of hiding spots after a while. So I got a bit creative, and I pulled the bed away from Mr. Six's wall. I was like, get down there, because there's a mattress under his bed. So I was like, I pulled the mattress out a little. I was, get down there. I'll push the bed in. Anyway, have pushed the bed in with a little bit too much gusto. Ran away so I could hide in just a really quick spot, which was epic, by the way.
Winner.
Yeah, I won, obviously. And so he's been found almost immediately because it wasn't that good a spot. And instead of helping him out, his little brother has just gone, found you, walked away, just left him there. I've just found out after like 5 minutes, and he's sort of like in shock, I guess. He's just like, why didn't you help me? But he's somehow stayed quiet. And then it took Mr. 4 about 5 minutes to find me, and when he's finally found me, all I hear is, "Ah, ah, get me out." I was like, didn't you help your brother? Is he still in there? His like head was stuck between the bed and the wall. He couldn't help. He couldn't get out. I was like, oh, Jesus. This is going on the pod.
At least you didn't have those judgy mummy eyes looking at you like,
Oh, yeah, I'm glad the wife was downstairs.
That's it. It's funny. You get that mixed feeling of this isn't great, but then also, yes, I've got some good pod content.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you do stuff on purpose. No, I'm joking. No, you don't do that. Do you have any listener mail, Cam?
No, apart from stuff from Corey, that's it for me.
Well, I guess Corey wins this week's Smashing Fibres gift voucher.
Nice, mate.
Well done, Corey. Thank you. We were getting a lot of listener mail there for a while, but it's sort of dried up a little bit. So don't forget to slide into the DMs at shitdadpod on Instagram or email us at shitdadpod@gmail.com. But apart from that, it has been fantastic talking to you today, Hamish.
Thank you.
Really bloody enjoyed that one. That was really good.
As have I.
Do you have any other advice to give to dads? Any dad advice that you want to shoot across?
I don't think so, mate. I think I've shared most of my failure and wisdom throughout the day.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
That
thanks. And thanks for having us in the studio today. It's been epic to be able to record in here. And
so excited. Just can't keep looking around.
we've also, obviously no one can see, we've got an amazing view of Brisbane right now. We can see that majestic brown snake.
Oh, yeah. Even at night time, it's majestic. I'm going to take a photo. Chuck it up on the social. But, yeah, so like I said before, send us in your stories and we'll feature them on the pod. The more we get, the merrier, and the more chances you've got of getting some extra dough to spend at Smashing Fibres. But, yeah, basically we want you to press follow wherever you listen to your podcasts, because the more followers we have, the more Zeus level podcast this becomes, and we obviously all want to be ultra podders, so keep it up, keep it coming. But until next time, crack a beer, pop on your BCF wide brim hat and admire your lawn. For the kids.
Nice.